All right. We are back for a midweek segment. Charlie Burris, and I'm here with somebody who has been on with us before. For I think you did game day with me for a game. I want to say,
Do you remember it?
um,
You remember which one?
was it? It was one that Crompton took off, so it was probably a snoozer game. He likes to leave me with those. Uh,
It was Missouri 2022 when
ah,
CBS broadcasters are up in arms because Tennessee's throwing deep balls
ah,
to Milton to hang 60 on the Tigers, and the Vols are going to the playoff. The path is laid out, and it was
ugh.
sunshine and rainbows that day, baby.
Man, that was a great week. Getting to beat down Dorkowitz. That was good. And then they went, and I believe it was the very next week with South Carolina where we got drug all up and down the field.
That's right.
Good times.
That's right. Didn't know what we had. Yeah.
Yeah, but Lucas Panzica of 104.5 The Zone in Nashville is with us, and now of 104.5 The Zone and of A to Z Sports, and specifically A to Z Sports Tennessee Vols, the YouTube channel, along with myself and Zach Reagan. Lucas is doing weekly videos for us. I don't if you want to. I'll tell the folks to look out for Lucas's videos on the channel, but sort of what are you doing there for him?
Sure. We're putting out content every week, just based on who Tennessee is playing that week. Really bite-sized stuff, right? What Tennessee has to do to get a win against Alabama, the issues Tennessee's running into on offense right now. On Monday, I did why Vols fans shouldn't be hitting the panic button quite yet after a loss to Arkansas and an uninspiring performance against Florida. So, about 3 times a week, we're putting stuff out on YouTube, on Instagram, on the A to Z Sports Vols Twitter. And yeah, man, it's always been kind of adjacent to A to Z Sports and kind of doing some stuff with you guys. So it's great to be involved. And that's the amazing thing about the Tennessee fan base. Somehow it seems like this fan base is always underserved for content, right? So we just keep going, and it's been great.
Yes, it's hard to believe that really everybody can kind of carve out their space. I mean, we've made our niche. When you go to a game at Neyland or go to a media event, there's 1,000 people in the
Yeah.
media corps at Tennessee, and yet we all sort of find our spot. But you also do Titans radio. You said you call the Nashville soccer games. Also, you're the lead broadcaster on that one.
So I do those games with Will Bowling.
Oh, that's right.
We
I
do
knew
the
this.
games
I knew this.
together, since the
Yeah.
radio station got the rights in 2023. So doing the Nashville Soccer Club games is awesome. Always been a passion of mine. I do the TV games on my TV 32, doing high school football. It's always cool to get
Sick.
to see, Tennessee commits whenever we do that as well. I don't think I've gotten one yet. Actually, I was not available for the game week 1 where they had George McIntyre in Brentwood Academy, but that's always a cool part of the gig as well. So yeah, kind of just a little bit of everything right now.
I did see Matt McIntyre just played against Knox Catholic. I
He
think.
did on last
Yeah.
Thursday, and then popped over to go to the Florida game.
Ah. Well, either way, you're all over the place. Everybody go check it out. I do think people are happy that we have our own channel now. There are a lot of Tennessee fans that are fine with seeing the Titans content get put out of the way.
Yeah.
No offense to the Titans. I think we're both Titans fans. But that's there. It's so weird. I don't know. I don't even want to start that conversation.
Yeah, we'll be here.
The Tennessee Vols Titans relationship. It's a big one. But either way. And I didn't even mention you're the number 2 man on Buck Rising's show.
Yeah, I do have that displeasure every day.
I'm sorry that you have to do
okay.
that. But all right, let's get down to brass tacks. It's Alabama week for Tennessee. Arguably biggest week of the year, I would say, because I think a lot of people have penciled in, okay, we're going to lose to Georgia. It's in Athens. I don't want to say that. We'll see how that looks when we get there. But I think a lot of fans are just facing that down and going, okay, let's just call that one an L just to be safe, and let's strategize around that. So it makes this Alabama game now, especially with the loss at Arkansas, must win, tons of pressure. It's very different feeling from 2 years ago where you just came off of murdering LSU in Baton Rouge and you went into Alabama with supreme confidence. Kind of stinking right now, specifically on offense. Defense is looking good, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But what's your general feeling right now going into this Alabama game?
I don't know. It's so fascinating how parallel the conversations are right now around Tennessee and around Alabama. With Tennessee, it's kind of more about the offense. With Alabama, it's kind of more about the defense right now. But uh, I have no idea where my confidence level is. I'm so perplexed by this game. You know, I look at where Tennessee has an edge, where Alabama could have an edge. And after the Alabama Georgia game a few weeks ago, everybody left that game thinking, oh, it's actually so Alabama is the team that's going to be harder to beat than Georgia this year, when we all had this preconceived notion it was going to be the other way around. I didn't have that reaction. I did that on A to Z Sports. I said, I don't think so. I'm more afraid of Georgia after a loss than I am of an undefeated Georgia. Kirby Smart's going to have, if Georgia walks into Austin and knocks off Texas, are any of us going to be that surprised if Georgia's best football is still ahead of them? Meanwhile, Alabama clearly has lost that Nick Saban edge of just being the same team, regardless of opponent, week in and week out. That's not the same team against Georgia that we saw against Vanderbilt and against South Carolina when they barely got out of there alive last weekend. So, man, long-winded way of saying I have no idea where I'm at with this game. I know there are some spots that Tennessee has advantages, and there are some spots that Tennessee has to get right, because some of the things the Vols have been doing the last 2 weeks just aren't going to fly on Saturday, even if the Alabama that lost to Vanderbilt shows up.
Yeah, there's a lot of facets to it. The primary one that I would go to is Tennessee's defense against Alabama's offense, because the defense is the piece for Tennessee that's shining for you right now. That it hasn't just been, oh, they had one good effort, they bowed up and got that stop in overtime. It's been the whole season. I mean, they put on magnificent performances all year long so far. But you did lose Keenan Peely, your starting linebacker. And I mean, it's a massive loss from the fact that he's just incredibly athletic and he was making a lot of plays for you. But at the same time, I think he was really a vocal leader, and that hurts a lot. Obviously, he'll still be on the sidelines, but it's just not the same. And I look at the way that Jalen Milroe to this point has played for Alabama, and when he's on, the kid can be magic. When he's off, he's kind of a mistake machine, and he looked abysmal against South Carolina at times. Made enough plays to win the game, and then against Vandy couldn't make enough plays to beat Vanderbilt, which is I cannot believe is real even to this even now.
Going blow for blow, baby.
Yeah. Shout out to Diego Pavia.
Nothing fluky about that one.
Yeah, but do you think the defense has what it takes to slow Alabama down?
I do, yeah, for sure. And it's strength on strength, right? I mean, like you said, when Milroe gets going and that Alabama team has momentum, he looks like one of the best quarterbacks in the country. It's a little bit boomer bust in the passing game, but he is one of the best deep ball passers in the country, and he's one of the best runners of the football at that position in the country. So a huge game for Jamal McCoy, for Ricky Gibson, obviously going up against Ryan Williams and the Alabama receivers. But it's just hard not to like that matchup for Tennessee, no matter who it's against this year. Like they're going to get got a few times, maybe more in this game than they have in any single game all season. And the Peely loss is a huge blow. But Arion Carter hopefully is playing his best football at the best time. That was probably his best game as a Vol last Saturday. Like you talk about sideline to sideline athleticism, something Tennessee's just lacked at that position for a while. Feels like they have that in Arion Carter, and he seems like he's maturing at the right time. Now he's going up against the other school that really wanted him, and he picked Tennessee over Alabama on signing day over here in Smyrna. So it's a big blow, but I just hope that that front seven and how dominant they've been, and James Pierce really breaking out meaningfully in the stat sheet last weekend. I wonder if that can kind of cover up the Peely stuff at all. I know he was a big leader in that defense and the green dot and all those things, but if the defensive line rotation and James Pierce can have a big game, then you hope that you won't be leaving Saturday saying, man, if only they had Keenan Peely.
Yeah, I don't think that it's going to be that simple where there's just a massive drop off like that. Maybe you see some, obviously the depth at a minimum hurts, but it is really encouraging that Arion Carter had a big game against Florida, and your defensive backs are looking better. I mean, that alone, compared to what you've seen through Josh Heupel's tenure so far, the fact that defensive backs look better is so encouraging.
Yeah, Jamal McCoy has been a revelation, man. I mean, he's been fantastic.
Dog.
Yeah.
Well, turning to the offense, I'll say Alabama's defense so far to this point in the season has not been excellent. And in fact, I've seen some pretty abysmal stats when it comes to how long they've let other teams stay on the field. They got just dominated by Vanderbilt. Again, I cannot believe that's real, but it did happen crazily. And so the defense hasn't, shown the best. Tennessee's offense got blanked in the first half of the last two games, blew it against Arkansas, and then nearly blew it against Florida, but figured out a way to win it in overtime. At the same time, it kind of feels like they're just a couple elements away from things clicking into place, maybe. I don't know if you agree with that. That's just been my perception. Do you think against this Alabama defense, the offense can figure out a way to maybe put the pieces in place?
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I mean, I don't think they're too far off. And there are specific plays that you can look at in the Arkansas game. Like, as poorly as Tennessee played, if Nico Iamaleava hits an open Squirrel White on one deep ball that he overthrows Squirrel on, that's Tennessee wins that game. They escape out of that game, right? And then he missed a couple more against Florida. A lot of people have bemoaned play calling, and maybe there are a few things. Like, sometimes it does feel like Tennessee's either throwing sideline to sideline, throwing screens behind the line of scrimmage, or uncorking it deep, or it's a 35-yard crosser right across the middle of the field. Maybe they could come up with some better answers for Nico, but I'm not ready to talk about play calling when I'm seeing guys running open, right? Or I'm seeing Chaz Nimrod drop a ball over the middle of the field that could get Tennessee in field goal range to win in regulation against Florida and not overtime. It does feel like they're close, and we're seeing some of the growing pains with Nico, but weakness on weakness. It's a Tennessee third down offense that has really struggled this year, and it's an Alabama defense that just cannot stay off the field. So one of those, like, something's got to give games, and Alabama is still crazy talented on defense, like they always are. But I do think this Tennessee offense is not far from clicking. The thing that you have is the ability to run on Dylan Sampson in the run game. That has not really wavered because Alabama's run defense has been dreadful. It's been the biggest weakness for them all year. If Tennessee can lean on that, the problem, man, is that you've had Dylan Sampson get you off to good starts and drives and get you those 4, 5, 6 yard carries on first down, and still the drives will sputter at times. And then whenever Tennessee does get some momentum and it feels like the tempo is finally working, it's an untimely penalty. It's a fumble at the mesh point of a handoff, or a pass protection issue, just something popping up at the worst possible time. It does feel like there are little things that if Tennessee can clean up, that they are closer to clicking and getting back closer to the Tennessee offense we're used to than they are from, throwing your hands up and saying they just don't have it this year.
All excellent points. I just realized I didn't tell you I was going to do this, but we got to do this. I got a couple more questions for you right after I tell everybody about Zen Sports. Football is back. What better way to bet on the big games than with Zen Sports? When you sign up for Zen Sports, you'll automatically earn up to a $100 no danger first wager. If your first bet loses, you'll be reimbursed for the amount of your bet up to $100. And with football season, Zen Sports is launching a revamped betting platform for both college football and the NFL. Zen Sports even provides daily super boosts that are 16% over their Tennessee competitors. Not bad. Zen Sports even offers a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program that you can check out at zensports.com/VIP. Get comps at sporting events, concerts, and even sportsbook bonuses. Go check that out. What are you waiting for? Start betting with Zen Sports, where you'll receive true odds on all parlays and enhanced user experience for all. Get going and download the app at zensports.com today. Zen Sports. Betting just got better. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions applied. No danger wager limited to plus 500 odds to qualify. Boosted odds are derived from equivalent parlay bets offered in Tennessee. Must be 21 or older in Tennessee to bet.
Nice.
I've been honing that one in.
Got to get it in.
All right. So let's just talk briefly about, honestly, maybe the biggest specter hanging over Tennessee, the offensive line. I mean, that's just something that has to get figured out. And Lance Hurd, former 5-star and a guy that I think is probably making a pretty penny off of NIL, and he has come out and just to this point looked pretty bad and also had an injury. Do you think that they have it in them in this game to finally get it together. And I guess Lance Hurd, John Campbell, both. Spraggins has struggled, so has Carriage. Really, Cooper Mays might be the only one that you've gotten consistently good play out of. How are you feeling about the offensive line?
Yeah, it's hard to be confident right now. And man, I don't even think the pass protection issues are limited to those guys. Running backs have got to be better
Yeah.
in pass protection. Dylan Sampson is putting up crazy numbers in the run game, and he's Tennessee's best player on offense right now, without question. But he's not immune to this, and neither is a guy like Deshaun Bishop. I mean, just across the board, it's got to be better. So you'd be surprised, right, if it just looks great against Alabama and that's the get right game for the offensive line. Like, there's going to be moments where Alabama caves Tennessee and disturbs Nico in the pocket, but can they hold up just enough to where it doesn't affect Nico, right? I mean, he's still a young quarterback. This is going to be his second legitimate hostile environment at home. And I know it's at home and I know the crowd is backing him, but I do think there's something to that. The pressure of playing in front of your home crowd in a packed house. Florida was the first time he ever did that in a meaningful game. And that place was going crazy, and it's going to be insane on Saturday. So just however you can mitigate other things affecting Nico in the pocket as much as possible. I doubt that we see a Darnell Wright-like performance in this game, right? Where he just shut down Will Anderson for the entirety of that game in 2022. Probably not going to get anything like that. Alabama also doesn't have a Will Anderson this year, but it's a concern, man. I mean, for me, it's the biggest concern on offense right now. Like Nico Iamaleava it's not like Joe Milton where you said, look, man, he just is who he is, right? You just got to do what you can, get the offense in a rhythm as much as possible. The guy's 25 years old. He is who he is. That's not the case with Nico. Like, the expectation is that Nico will kind of get out of this funk from the last couple of weeks. O-line, pass protection, the biggest issue on offense right now, without a doubt. And that includes the penalties, because it feels like most of the penalties on the offense have been on the offensive line with untimely holds and whatnot.
Well, and maybe if you can avoid the penalties for Tennessee, and on the flip side, I forget exactly what the stat was. Tennessee's opponents have been called for so few in-action penalties. It was I looked at it today. I wish I could remember off the top of my head.
Something like 3 in the last 40 quarters. Was that what it was?
Yes, something crazy.
I don't know how accurate that is, but I did see that floating around. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if Heupel needs to slip the refs a 20 before the game. I don't know what it's gonna take, but do something there, because you're getting called for a holding penalty every single time Nico rolls out on a broken play, and then you can't literally pay for one on the other side of the ball.
Yeah,
so
and that feels like that's where Nico is the most comfortable at the moment, when he's rolling out, when the field's getting cut in half, and he's not having to stand in the pocket with the danger of the pocket collapsing. When he's getting to utilize his athleticism with this throwing motion, it feels like that's just where he's at his most natural, instinctual. But every time, like you said, those big plays feel like they get called back. And Tennessee's not bottom 5 in the SEC in penalties. Like, you look at the numbers, it doesn't look horrific. It just feels like they happen at the most inopportune times.
Got to get it cleaned up. It's all there for you, though. I'll ask you this on the way out. Got to get you on the record. You don't have to give a score or whatever, because I know you have your own considerations with radio that you got to do for the rest of the week and all these things. Is Tennessee winning this one against Alabama? Man. And if yes or no, how does it happen?
Yeah. And I still think Tennessee beats Alabama and loses to Georgia. Like, I thought that before the Alabama-Georgia game. I thought that after the Alabama-Georgia game, and I think that this week. And I think it happens by Tennessee's offense not being the Tennessee offense that puts up 45, 50 points a game. Like, I'll say this. If this game's a shootout, if this game is similar to 2022, I don't think Tennessee wins. I do not think Tennessee wins in a shootout the way they did a couple years ago, where there's just always a solution on offense, no matter the scenario or challenge presented. But I think Tennessee just finds a way to win, and they do it by leaning on their defense and the offense just being able to capitalize on some of the opportunities that are there, even if it's law of averages, right? Like, the amount of opportunities Tennessee was not able to take advantage of in the Arkansas and Florida games. They got away with it against Florida. They did not against Arkansas. I feel like that could come back to the mean a little bit on Saturday against Bama. And if you can just hit on a couple of those, I do think you have the ability to lean on this defense that is going up against the dynamic Alabama offense, and it's by far the biggest test for that unit all year. I mean, by far. But I'm going to go Tennessee win here while keeping in mind that that Georgia game down the road. And I say that because it's a must win, right? If I think Tennessee is going to lose to Georgia, then they simply have to beat Alabama for us to keep talking about this team with playoff goals. But I'm going to say, I'm going to say they get it done.
Well, there you have it. I am on the record also of saying that weirdly Tennessee is in the exact position that preseason I thought they would be, except I said they were going to lose to Oklahoma instead of Arkansas. So you're pressed in the same exact way that I thought you were going to be. Although
better team than Oklahoma right now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Oklahoma, they're using stinking high schoolers at wide receiver, having to pull people out of the stands, I think, to play wide receiver for them, and using a freshman quarterback. But just go win, baby. Just win. That's all. Not that it's a tall task to go beat Alabama or anything. No pressure.
Place is going to be rocking, man.
I'm excited. It's going to be a wild, wild environment. I hope that they can deliver for the fans that are there, because I've talked to some people that were there for the Florida game, and while everybody said it was an absolutely wild environment, I think there was so much uneasiness and just sort of that feeling of like, what are we doing?
Oh, I was feeling it. That was a game that you feel like you just ran like 20 miles on a treadmill after, because you just been holding your breath for 3 hours. But as long as Case and the Dancing Kid is in the building, the crowd will not let up.
Get that man a ticket right now. Make sure he's there and get him on the Jumbotron. Yes, that is important. That's key. That's key to this game. We should have mentioned that. The Kaysen is in the building. All right. Lucas Panziga, 104.5 The Zone in Nashville. Now, A to Z Sports. Look for him on not just on Buck's show daily, but on his own segments here on the A to Z Sports Tennessee. Is it A to Z Sports Tennessee Vols, I think is the name of the channel. Not like I should know the name.
You tell me, man.
Yeah. But look for it there. He's doing an awesome job. And what else? Subscribe, like button, all of the, I mean, you know
the drill.
You know what to do. Lucas, we appreciate it. Thanks so much, man.
Appreciate it, Charlie.